everyone, Bindu here from Crafty Meraki. Before we start with today's projects, I want to share with you the Crafty Meraki website, and I want to show you how easy it is to find things on our website. So on our website, you click on collections, and that brings you to this page where you can see that all the brands that we carry are listed here in alphabetical order. Not only are the brands listed, but as you can see, dyes, distress inks, basically categories, ink cubes, inks, they're listed by brands as well as by categories. So say you're looking for distress inks, you can just go directly to distress inks and buy the distress inks that you're looking for. Oh, and what's this here today? We have a special collection created that has all the products that I'm going to be using in today's demo. So it's clearly called SSBE Demo Products. So you can just go to collections, find SSBE Demo Products, and you can just shop for all the products that I'm going to be using in today's demo. I will also give you the link to the collection, so it's easier to find that way as well. I'm sharing here the blog section of our website where the design team members share daily inspiration. So if you ever need inspiration, be sure to check out our blog because they share the cards and the process that they use to make the card. Pretty cool, right? For today's project, I have a very different card to share with you. Today, we're going to be watercoloring with Karin Markers. If you've never heard about Karin Markers, let me give you a brief introduction. Karin Markers are all the rage these days. These markers are liquid ink filled, but they behave very much like watercolor brush pens, and I'll show you in the demo today. Karin Markers come in all different sizes, collections, and sets. I'll share more information about these markers as we start working on our card today. So I am going to heat emboss my stamp image onto a piece of watercolor cardstock. I have a cardstock here that is 4x6, and I'm simply taking my stamp image and gold embossing it. The stamp that I'm using is called Floral Hugs, which was part of the new release from Crafty Meraki earlier this month. So I'm stamping my image with WOW embossing ink onto my cardstock, and I'm going to gold emboss and heat set it. Once I'm done embossing, I am now going to start coloring the image. I am going to be watercoloring, so I have my watercolor brush, I have a little jar of water and a rag towel all sitting on my desk next to me, even though you can't see it in the camera here. All the products that I'm using today are in the SSBE collection like I mentioned, so don't worry too much about the exact colors and the shades that I'm using right now. I will be linking to all of them. What I'm doing here is essentially I have three shades. I have a red, an orange, and a yellow. I wanted to color the word hugs, as you can see that's tucked under all of these flowers. I wanted to color just the word in shades of red and yellow. So I have three shades of Karin Markers, and you see me here switching back and forth between the red, orange, and the yellow. And I'm also using my water brush with very little amount of water to blend the colors together. I'm starting with the red, which is called a magenta red. I'm applying the red in the outsides of the letter H. And as we're going inside, I'm doing a layer of orange, and then all the way in the middle, you see me going there with a yellow marker. All I'm doing is I am layering the color and I'm blending them. So I start with the red and I apply orange, sort of overlapping the red that I just put down. and then I go back with the yellow and try to blend everything together. I'm going to repeat this process for all the letters in the word hugs, as you can see me doing here. I promised I would tell you more about the Karin markers. So while you watch me color, let me tell you about the Karin markers. These markers can be used as watercolor markers, meaning, like you're seeing me do here, you can blend these markers together with water. You just need a tiny little bit of water, a droplet of water, to blend the colors together. That's one way to blend the markers. The other way to blend the markers is actually directly blend one color with another color. You're going to see me doing that here. So you can blend these markers with water or without water using the pens directly next to each other. The third way to blend these markers is using what's called a blender brush. Karin makes a blender brush, which is almost like a 𝐂𝐨𝐻𝐿 color blender. If you're familiar with 𝐂𝐨𝐻𝐿, you know what the blender brush does. And the blender that Karin makes is very similar to that. So it's a colorless marker which can be used to blend the Karin markers together. I am not using a blender brush today because I actually enjoy blending these markers directly with each other. So you can buy Karin markers either as individual shades. You can buy 1, 2, 3 shades if you like, if you just want to give them a try, you're not sure. You can buy, just like 𝐂𝐨𝐻𝐿 markers, you can buy one color, one marker, or you can buy a set of 12, you can buy a set of 24, 36, 60, or 72. Those are the sets that Karin makes. And as I mentioned, I'll have everything linked in the SSBE collection so you can take a look for yourself. In addition to these markers, the regular shades, there's 2 other varieties of shades that Karin makes. One is what's called the neon markers. There's a set of 10 neon markers. And there's another set called the deco brush markers, which are metallic brush markers. They are permanent, but they have this metallic shine to them, and they look amazing on black paper. For my project today, I'm only using the regular Karin marker shades, not the metallic. Okay, back to our project. So now I'm coloring the leaves in exactly the same way like I colored the word hugs. I'm using 2 shades of green and a shade of yellow, and I am starting off with the darkest green, then I'm going in with the lighter green, and in the middle I'm adding a touch of yellow. I'm going to continue coloring all the leaves on my image in exactly the same way, starting with the darkest green on the outside, overlapping that with the lighter green, and in the middle blending with the yellow, which is a gold yellow. So as I'm coloring away my leaves, it's time to chat, right? After the busy holiday season that I had, I wanted to really relax and just have a fun time coloring today. If you're looking for the colors that I used, by the way, let me repeat them. For the greens that you see here, I'm using a shade by Karin called Grass for the darkest green. For the lighter green, I'm using Apple. And for the yellow, I'm using Gold. For the reds that I've already colored, I used magenta red for the darker shade. I used orange red for the orange and gold for the yellow. So I'm using the same gold for the word hugs as well as the leaves for the shading. I'm almost done coloring all of the greens in this image. Next, I'm going to color the flowers. If you haven't already noticed by now, you can see that I'm going for a rainbow theme here. So next, I'm going with blues. For my blues, I am using 3 shades of the Karin Markers. The darkest blue is called cyan. The mid-tone blue is called sky blue. And the lightest shade of blue that I'm using is called Arctic blue. The way that I'm coloring my images now, as you can see, is I'm barely using any water at all. I'm blending all the shades of blue directly with each other. I am using a little bit of water to get a smooth blend, but once again, my brush barely has any water at all. So I'm going to continue coloring all of these. I'm going to call them bluebells. They look like bells, so I'm coloring them blue. So I'm going to continue coloring all of these bluebells with these 3 shades of blue that I mentioned to you. If you're not comfortable blending the brushes directly with each other, you could use water like I am doing in between, or you could even use the blender brush that I mentioned a little while ago. These markers are actually very popular with calligraphists, so people that do hand lettering absolutely rave about these markers. And I mention that because a lot of people who do hand lettering actually touch the Karin markers to each other. So touch one tip to another to transfer the ink, and they directly use the blended tip to letter on paper. I was not feeling brave enough to do that today, but certainly if you're feeling brave, go ahead and try it. All you would have to do is essentially touch 2 tips to each other. Ideally, you would touch the darker pen to the lighter tip. That way, you're transferring a little bit of the darker ink onto the lighter pen. Back to my coloring. Here, I am now going to color the rest of these floral images with shades of purples. For my purples, I actually used a bunch of different shades of purple. I used neon red lilac, I used neon violet blue, I used pale violet, and the pink that you see me here using is actually rose pink. And I also blended a couple of the other flowers on this image using soft peach and a shade of purple. So I was trying to get a pink purple mix flower, so that's why I used shades of pink along with shades of purple. You can see how well they blend with each other. I actually love the fact that I can blend a purple and a pink and it looks like a very different but still natural looking flower. Full disclosure here, I own a set of 72 Karin markers. That 72 set comes with all the shades of Karin markers plus the 10 shades of neon markers, and it also comes with 3 blender brushes. Like I mentioned, I'm not using the blender brushes here. However, I used all the other shades from that set. I admit I have the full set syndrome. I'm sure you've heard of it, but I have the full set syndrome, you know. I can't just buy 1 or 2 or 3 markers. I have to have it all. So I bought the entire 72 set of markers. Also, because I had heard great things about them, I had had a chance to try out a couple markers, and I enjoy watercoloring with these markers. So I ended up buying the 72 set for myself, but don't feel like you have to buy everything. I think you could get away with trying a couple of markers. As I mentioned, I'm giving you these shade numbers, and I will also link to them in the collection section, but you can actually just buy individuals. They're pretty inexpensive when you buy 1 or 2 or 3 markers at a time, and you can later add more to your collection. Or if you don't want to have to pick a color or 2, you could always try out one of their 12 set markers. The 12 set markers come in sets like the shades of the sky, shades of skin, shades of flowers, shades of trees. So Karin packages these markers in sets of 12 based on what you can color with them. Like I mentioned, shades of trees, as in you could color trees with those 12 markers. But there are also some basic sets which I would recommend highly. They're a set of 12 markers that you can buy, and they are a prepackaged set of 12. So you get your basic 12 colors in them. So all the shades of rainbow you would get in one package. And their price point is also not bad. It's pretty inexpensive, all things considered. So you could start off by adding a set of 12 to your collection and then try them out, see how you like them. But I will guarantee you, once you try these markers, they are just so vibrant and so amazing. It's like nothing I've ever colored with before. These markers are just a set of their own. They're just a league of their own. And that's why you see so many of us raving about these markers. However, as I mentioned, try them out for yourself, see how you like them, and then go from there. What you see me doing here is actually something you could try if you were to buy the 12 sets. You could just take one marker, like you would with watercoloring. Just take the darkest shade or just take your one shade that you have and just use a water brush to get your desired shades from just one marker. So I am continuing to do my coloring in exactly the same way I described. All I'm doing is layering color, blending shades one with another. And you see me barely using any water at all. So don't be afraid. Start with a small set, start with just the basic shades, try them out on paper and see how you like them. One of my friends always tells me, it's just paper. Put some color on. If you don't like it, start over. But I guarantee you, these markers are so easy to use and they are just so vibrant that you're not going to be afraid to use them anymore. You're just going to enjoy them. I'm almost done with my coloring, and all that's left to do is to trim this paper out and mount it on top of a card base. I chose to simply mount this on top of a black card base. I did not add anything else to it. I wanted to keep the card very simple. I want the focus to be on this image that is just so pretty, so beautiful. Here's another look at my finished project. I hope you would give it a try. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. If you're interested in trying out the Karin markers, don't forget you get 20% off with the show special code. Use code NEWYEAR21 to get 20% off of your entire purchase. As always, I hope that I've inspired you to create, and I hope you will give Karin markers a try. Don't forget to follow us on social media to get your daily dose of inspiration. I will see you all again soon with another project. Until then, stay happy, stay crafty. Bye!